But I went out here last night and I did a couple things. I'm trying to come up with a good strategy here. And so I did some more podcasts and I got a meeting scheduled for the one that reached out to me, but I'm gonna have to reschedule because they got their time zone is somewhere else. I mean, it's 7 o'clock at night. I'm like, I don't think I want to do an interview, a discovery call on a Friday night at 7. So I'll do that. But when I went out there, let me look at my stuff here. So I'm trying to do a strategy. I got my folders for conferences and I got my folder for podcasts. And then,
So,
I haven't done the association
yeah.
just yet.
So here's what you want to do. You don't want to create a folder called podcast or associations or conferences, right? And I'm going to show you why.
Well, I did what you did. We did it together. Whatever we did with the
No,
Dropbox.
no, no, I got you. I'm going to show you though. I'm going to show you what I mean by this, right?
Excuse me, Ron. Will you make me co-host?
I already did.
It's Tanya. I think you accidentally put
Oh, my
Tanya
bad.
instead of me.
My bad. My bad.
Okay. We don't want to put you to work, Tanya. I'll let the
I,
people.
oh,
You're
I
doing
see. You
enough
got.
work right now.
I didn't know you had Vivian out here. I see Vivian. I know a lot of these people out here. Mhm.
They're waiting to come in.
I
Perfect.
didn't even know
Okay.
nobody was waiting. I didn't see none of that. So basically, she's looking over
Mhm.
on the side
Oh,
here. So basically, whenever you go to your pictures, like where you can look at your lists,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
if you click on filters, you can see we already put it in categories of podcasts, conferences, and things of that sort. So you don't need to segment them by that because it's already going to be categorized that way. So if I only want to see my conferences, I can go to category conferences and click
Okay.
filter. It's only going to show me the conferences. So you want the names of your list to be something else.
Okay. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Okay.
So
So
that may be fall or winter or spring
yes,
or
I get it.
topical or something like that.
Okay. So that's one thing I was looking at. So another thing I was looking at, I was thinking about it last time. I was like, okay, we got to have a strategy with this here, Tanya. So when I went to conferences, and I think you told me this the last time, let's not be trying to put generation people don't know what that is. So when you do leadership, everybody, leadership. And I think I put something up. Okay, so for conferences, I put HR. I'm not really big at going to SHRM. I'm really not big at going to SHRM conferences because they don't, to me, sometimes the decision makers are not in the room. Now, but I don't know. I was gonna get your thought about it because, from a conference standpoint, I'm trying to figure out which ones I can hit the most. And when I put leadership, that's so doggone broad.
Hmm. Well, I mean, there's only 3 speeches that have ever been given in history, though, right?
Excuse me? Three
I said there's only
speeches.
3 speeches. Yeah, there's only 3 speeches. Every speech falls into one of 3 categories, right? You can either teach someone how to be a better leader, you can teach them how to improve skill, or you can teach them how to make or save money. You really can't teach anybody anything else, right?
Well, yeah, and I agree. And when I started messing with it, and when I put culture in there, I found a whole lot of stuff that I like.
Hmm. Yeah. So the searching is really one of those things where if you want to like human resources, right? That may bring up something totally different than HR because you
Yeah, I
know
did him. I spelled it out. I got all of that,
well,
but I'm just, I just didn't know if the SHRM stuff. I was always told to stay away from SHRM. It depends on
well,
what
I
you're trying to
mean,
do.
but yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the person. I know SHRM has their own speakers bureau
They
where they
used
have
to.
they oh, okay. I thought they still had it, but
As
yeah,
of last year when I was there, they said they was going to disband it, and we understand why. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of them like we host the one for HRPA out of Canada, which is like the SHRM for Canada, and their contract with us ends in soon too. So I think a lot of them are going away from that for that particular reason. Um, but um, the way I look at it is, I wouldn't spend a lot of time overthinking it. I think
okay,
you're better off. I would feel better about you pitching 50 average conferences that are average fit than you pitching 10 that were perfect fits.
Okay, and I'm fine with that because when I started messing with it, like I said, I had to spell the human resources out, and I did see some things from a podcast. I definitely pitched, but then I saw some stuff about culture, which I'm definitely into that. So okay, I'm just messing with it, and then association, I didn't know how to start with that.
Yep, it's the same type of search. So associations, really what you have to think about is who has your audience,
Right.
right? So if I know I talk about HR, anything dealing with business, I can go talk at. Whether I want
Hmm.
to, whether I think it's the perfect fit. If they got employees, they have your topic because
Okay.
you're talking about generational workers and like nobody's saying they would lose their business if they said we only hire people between the ages of 40 and 50,
Oh yeah.
right? The
All
only
day.
people who can get away with kind of that type of bias is Hooters, right?
Hmm.
Hooters forces the guys to work in the kitchen and the women to work out front, and nobody sues them about it, right? But if I
Nobody.
would have said no, I want to wait tables, that would be sexually discrimination,
All day.
right? You see what I mean?
Hmm.
But we let it get away with it because it's Hooters. But every other business, they need what you have to talk about. So you got to think of it from that perspective. And then as you keep searching, we'll start. You see it. We start making recommendations over here on the right,
Yeah, I like that part
right?
of it.
So it's like insurance. That's a big one because the guy is older. The guys in the insurance and financial services industry, the average age is like 57. So they think
Okay.
totally
Yeah.
different than the person in their 20s that they're going to be hiring as their assistant.
So you just shifted me a second ago because I was trying to get too fine tuned. So like, and I'm looking at it this way: like if you did some speaking in an insurance industry, you're gonna have somebody that want to talk about this generation stuff within there, as opposed to me putting
Yeah,
generations in there.
yeah,
So you just
exactly.
shifted me. Yeah, you just shifted me because that is an industry. Like I was trying to do government, and just see what
Mhm.
come up, and I'm like, I better, I don't know about that. So I was just
So
messing with it. Okay.
yeah, so here's what you have to remember is that our topics, like if I said, okay, I want to go talk about the speaker flywheel, right? And I type that in. Nobody uses that term. That's a
Right.
term
You
we
told me
created
that.
in house, right?
Right.
So we have to think, okay, who are the people that want to be on stage? Lawyers, real estate agents, people with PhDs, superintendents, principals, entrepreneurs. Oh, okay. So let me look for organizations that have them in it.
Okay.
Does that make
That
sense?
shifted.
And
Yeah, that shifted. Mm-hmm.
yep. So we're actually working on something that I think is going to be pretty cool. That is going to be launched. We're going to be releasing it in the next couple of days. I wrote a book on this entire thing that gets all the way down into all the nitty gritty stuff I talk about on a daily basis. And it's called the Speaker Launch Formula. And it gives you got a workbook and everything. Who are your people for podcasts? How do you search for this? What are you looking for when you're looking for conferences? And we go through those things because I think we hear them, but since it's not our stuff, we don't remember it. But when you write it
Right.
down, you say, "Oh, I remember when he talked about that because I wrote these down." And you can always open it back up, right?
Right.
So that's something that we put together. It's called the Speaker Launch Formula, and that'll be out this week. And it's a workbook. It's free. We're giving it away. It's the workbook um, and a book on how to get booked consistently, with or without us. You don't have to use Speaker Hub, but I know you do. But I'm saying, but for those who are watching, you don't have to use Speaker Hub to use our methodology because we
Yeah.
didn't use Speaker
It's
Hub when we developed it.
well, it's funny that you guys are doing this here because everybody is trying to teach people how to speak. And I love the fact that you say, hey, we just put out the platform, but you are seeing people, the formula, you want to be a paid speaker. I mean, you see all of that, girl. I mean, you just see all of that. And at the end of the day, I think the missing piece is that, yeah, I know how to get this speech together, but I need to get on some doggone stages, and that's the missing piece right there.
Well, I'm going to share something with you. I'm going to read something for you if you don't mind, since the
Sure.
people are here. I'm gonna bring up the first segment, like the prologue to the book. Let me bring this up, and I think you would appreciate what I'm about to say, or what I said in the book, I should say. Um, All right, let's bring this up here. All right, let me see. This is the part I used to hate in class when the teacher make you stand up and read, and then
Mm.
if you say something, if you stutter, the kids laugh at you.
That's funny. Mm.
So I'm going to bring this up for those who want to read along, but I'll read it myself. And it's called The Broken Promises of Speaking. The world of
Mhm.
speaking is full of promises. Get booked for $20,000 gigs in less than a year with no experience. Share your story and watch the money roll in. Take this course and you'll be a six-figure speaker in no time. If you've been drawn to the idea of speaking, chances are you've heard these claims. They sound enticing, don't they? The idea of standing on stage, sharing your story, and getting paid handsomely for it feels like a dream come true. But here's the truth that no one likes to talk about: it's not that easy. The promise of instant wealth through speaking is a lie. It's a story spun by speaker coaches and course sellers who profit millions from selling shortcuts to many who can barely afford it and are simply trying to make a better life for themselves. They paint a picture of effortless success where simply sharing your story will have audiences lining up to hand you five-figure checks. This myth hurts more than it helps. It leads aspiring speakers to believe that the world owes them something just because they've lived through challenges or gained
Mhm.
insights. It convinces them that speaking is an easy way to get rich without putting in the work. The reality: speaking is a profession, and like any other profession, it takes time, effort, and dedication to master. The world doesn't owe you anything for telling your story. Your story, no matter how powerful or moving, is not enough to guarantee success. The market doesn't reward stories, it rewards stories told well. Audiences don't pay you to share your experiences, they pay you to impact their lives. They pay you for your insights, your tools, and your inspiration that help them to overcome challenges, achieve goals, and see the world in a new way. Here's what most successful speakers understand: speaking isn't about you, it's about them or the client. Your value isn't in what you've been through, it's how well you communicate and how much you help others. High fees aren't a right, they're earned through mastery, credibility, and the ability to deliver results. Every profession requires time and effort to master. Doctors, lawyers, musicians, and athletes don't achieve greatness overnight. They invest years in learning, practicing, and refining their craft. Speaking is no different. Becoming a highly paid speaker means committing to developing your skills, building your credibility, and earning trust. And then we just get into what we talk about here.
So you did a good job. Look like you AI this here really well.
Yeah, I mean, it's things that I talk about all the time, right?
Yeah, stuff. I
And
mean, I love it because it's. I can tell you did it in the AI because and the reason why I
mhm.
can tell, not the voice, the layout of it for sure, but I
Yeah,
love it because it's easy and that's what it needs to be so people can be clear about it's not as easy as people think it is.
oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I have no shame in saying I use AI for editing,
Oh
because
yeah.
I'm not going to pay somebody $99 a minute to read my book and make comments when ChatGPT can put squiggly lines under it. So,
I wish I would have known that because I'm working with somebody to do some books and now that I know more of it, I could have hell saved that money. But I'm doing three, so
yeah, so I mean, what I've done is I've taken all of my old stuff
yeah,
where I
and put
talk
it in
about
there.
these webinars and just take all
Hmm.
the transcripts,
Yeah,
right?
that's what you're supposed
And
to do.
then, yeah, so then I end up with like 200,000 words that I had spoken on the topic, and then reorganized and said, okay, well, like I preach about the everybody trying to just go from, oh, I work at Amazon to I make
Right.
$300,000 telling my story about how this thing went wrong when I was a kid, and it's like,
Well, I'm glad you're doing this because a lot of people think I just talked to somebody last night and was telling them about speaker because they speak for free, right? And I told them there's a strategy behind that. But if you want to get paid to be speaking, you're going to have to cut that free because free will follow you. And free will follow you.
yeah, and I agree, but they should speak for free until they get good,
Well, they've
right?
been speaking for a long time. They've been in NSA. They just don't know how to navigate it. What you just said in your book to be is what it happens because you get these people that want to coach folks and they're not making any money, but they want to tell you what you need to do to make money, and they're not making no money.
Yep. I
I
mean, one of the biggest speaking companies that does training, the guy who owns it doesn't even do public speaking anymore. And it's like, dude, you don't even do speaking, but you telling people they should make seven figures as a speaker, and you like,
is
dude,
that Dale Carnegie?
no. Dale
Oh,
Carnegie, I think he's been dead for a long time.
no, but he has offices still here in Atlanta where people go and learn how to speak, and people,
Oh yeah. No, it's not that. I'm talking about like just a small coach, like a
Oh,
regular,
okay.
like one of the
Mm-hmm.
guys, one of the internet guru guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them don't speak anymore. They just sell a course. And talk
Mm.
about how to make seven figures as a speaker. Yeah, selling a course. You didn't make it speaking, you made it
Right.
selling a
Mm.
process. And so it just ends up being a bunch of people lying to each other. And it's
Oh,
unfortunate
absolutely.
because nobody has the courage to call it out.
Well, I
And
do. I call it out. That's why. But anyway, I'm glad that you guys are here. So let me ask you, you mentioned last week some new courses going to be coming on board for pro. When is that going to be coming on board?
yep, so we're actually finalizing it right now. I've been working on this all weekend. The speaker launch formula is the course.
Oh,
Everyone
speaker
should be
lunch.
getting an email. Yep, it's
Okay.
called the speaker launch formula. Yep. So
Okay.
that's the name of the book. That's the name of the course and the training that we're doing. It's actually going to be required for anyone going forward. There's no way for someone to sign up for Speaker Hub Pro directly from the website anymore. They have to go through the
Yeah, you
training.
talked about that last week. Okay.
Yeah. So like that's a mandatory
Facebook
thing. So
us.
you're already in, so you're good. But everyone else, they're mandatorily required to go through our training. Um, and a lot of it is just the mindset around speaking. And I've learned over time that, for lack of better words, people wish that there was plastic surgery for speaking, right? Like, I'm just going to go get a BBL, or I'm going to take
Oh
on
God,
something,
no. Chad, don't say
right?
BBL.
But you know how it is. That's what people do. They
Yeah.
don't want to go to the gym. They go get liposuction and get the the fluids moved around in their body because they don't want to go to the gym or eat right.
Eh,
And but that's what's being sold. It's the thing where you hear the speaker who's a great motivator, but after you get hyped up, you're like, okay, what do I do next? And you have no substance of what to do next. But man, I just signed up for this thing for $20,000.
I do think your program, I'm glad I get to have you guys to myself for so far, but I do think if you're like for me, I think everybody is pivoting based on what has happened in the market with the new administration coming in. And so a lot of people know that DEI is going to be, especially if you're going into federal space, is not going to be in existence. So they're going to have to move some things around. They're going to have to even move their speeches. So I think I'm not surprised. I'm not, I don't understand why people are not flooding this here because it's going to be a change for those who do speak in a specific area. But I think for me, the reason why I joined that, I do like the ease of it, like the pictures and some of the AI stuff. But my goal is to be known and seen. And so I'm
Mhm.
glad you guys introduced me to the podcast because I didn't even think about that at
Oh,
all.
Tanya, you are killing my book. You are, because that's what we talk about. It's not that you're not. It's not that most speakers aren't talented. It's that they're unknown,
That's
right?
right.
And
I'm one
we
of
always
them.
talk. We always talk about like, hey, people do business with folks they know, like, and trust. Well, a
Right.
lot of you are likable and trustworthy. You just unknown.
That's
So
right.
the only way to get known is by not waiting to get discovered. One of my favorite books I used to show on our webinars all the time is called "If Nobody Loves You, Create the Demand."
Mm.
And it's a fact of life. Like, look, become lovable. That's the best way. I mean,
Well, I
it,
think everybody, and you're absolutely, I think you take the ease out of it because I don't think what is it, Speaker Hub was like this before you bought it. I think it was just a
no, it
platform.
wasn't. Yep, it
And
was
I
just a
think
profile. Yep.
it's just a profile, and I think people still know how to like e-speaker. It's just I got a profile. I don't even know how to navigate that. I don't even know if I want to, right? But then the crystals of the world and all those Tonys of the world and Robert and what are they doing? And that's what people access to them to find out what they are doing.
Exactly. And so what we want to do is to use the relationships that I've built with speakers, with my clients, with the best speakers on earth, and have them to tell brutal truth, not just,
Yep.
oh, well, I think
This or a
this
lie.
might work. No, don't come over here talking about what might work. we don't, we
I'm
don't
right there
need that,
wishing.
you
Yeah, we
know.
needed something
And
to work.
yeah, exactly. So we don't do a
Well,
lot of the fake stuff. We don't, you know. I'm like, hey, if we can't back it up with the results that we've gotten, we won't talk about it, or we will go and get someone who's done it. And yeah, I think it's unfortunate that this has happened to speaking, but I'm also glad that um, I'll give you a great example. One a guy that really kind of liberated me a lot. Um, my ability to talk about the things that I talk about was a guy named Alex Hormozy, and wrote some really good books. And when I first ran into him, he was still doing gym stuff, and I ran into him by mistake. I ran into his content by mistake because I was looking for something on someone else, and he was being interviewed. And I'm going through the interview. I'm like, man, this dude is like, he's on it. Like he speaks the same stuff I speak, and people get mad at me for saying. And as time went on, I began to realize, oh, why is what he's saying sounding so refreshing? Because it was the opposite of Gary Vee,
oh
right?
yeah.
And Gary
Gary
Vee
go
isn't
all
bad, but
in.
Gary Vee gets you all excited and no instruction, right? Or it was the opposite of Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone ain't bad, but you don't know if he's scamming you or if he's telling you the truth. So you like, this kind of feels fishy.
Hmm.
And then this guy just came like straight blunt. If you don't like it, leave. I was like, dude, this is me all day. And people like this. Oh yeah, let me just go be me then, right? And when I started to do more and have more conversations about the real things I lived, it was like people can't argue with your facts. Like if you actually did these things, just tell them. Go do cool stuff and tell people about it.
Hmm.
And that's what we're trying to get more speakers to do. Good to see you,
Yeah.
Janika. You know, we need you all to get on
Thank
more
you.
stage and tell people about the cool stuff you're doing because
I like how you frame that because you take out all that in the box type speaking and just tell your truth and do something unique. And I think it frees people. And so hopefully we can be successful for this platform because my goal is I was up at 1 o'clock this morning trying I
yeah,
got
I
my
mean,
notes. So let me call him. Let me see what's happening here. But I'll definitely you
but
answer my question. I'll let Janika if she has any questions.
but that's why we're here every day. I mean, we're gonna be here every day. And the only way we get the platform better is by coming on, answering questions, understanding what you all are dealing with so that we can fix certain things.
Well,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
What about
yeah.
that PR? I'm on the Facebook, and that's amazing, but that's wild out there. I'm like, okay, am I ready? I mean, in a good
Oh,
way, meaning there's a
did you get her
whole
in, Edge?
yeah, I'm in there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
No, I
see a
mean
lot
this.
of stuff. I was like, ooh, look at that. So I'm trying to put a strategy together. I want to start with what's on the platform, and then I wouldn't mind subscribing to some books, especially the one I think you showed me, the HR
Mhm.
whatever it is. Definitely. So I'm up with a
Yeah, I mean,
strategy.
so the best thing I can tell you is I don't think at this point, like my thing is unless you're doing 50 live shows a year, don't discriminate. Go on everything. Like
Okay,
pitch everything. And the reason being is you just never know.
that's right.
Like the stuff I turned down, I used to turn, I'm like, I don't want to do it. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I hop in and I'm like, oh, this is the best thing I could have ever done. Because it ends
Hmm.
up, you just don't know. And we can be prejudiced and miss
And
opportunities because we're
lose
not in the
opportunity.
right framework,
That's
right?
right. You're right. Okay.
So, you know, mindset wise, I'm a firm believer that if someone invites you someplace, it's because you fit.
Yeah,
It's
I
because you
agree.
fit. You fit what they need. So, you know, be the leader you needed is probably the best way to say it. At
And you
some
never
point,
know because sometimes we fish in the wrong pond trying to get to what we believe we need, but if we just get out there and cast a net, you'll never know. So
let
kudos.
me tell
Thank
you
you for
something.
that.
I spent the first 12 years of my working life selling insurance and investments, helping people roll over their 401ks, buy stocks,
Hmm.
bonds, doing things like that. If you'd have asked me in 2001 if I would be helping speakers on stage, I'd have been like, I don't even do public speaking. I don't even care about that stuff, right? If you'd have asked me in 2012 if I ever thought I would own a software company, because I was getting killed by people in St. Louis saying you can only have a software company if you knew how to code. So I thought me owning a software company was just, unless I learned how to program, I would never have one. But I was looking at it from the perspective of the venture capitalist. What they were saying is, Ron, if you don't know how to code, we're not going to invest in the company because we need
Right.
the founders to be able to code. And then I met a friend named Ace who said, dude, what you need to code for? Just go buy a company. And I'm like, oh, I can just go
That's
buy
what's up.
one?
Yeah.
So since then, I bought five. It's like,
Oh, good for
oh,
you.
yeah, right. So, we instead of starting a software company, I've purchased five in the last 6 years.
Oh, good for you.
So it's those things where, like you said, sometimes you're fishing in the wrong pond and you're taking advice from people that are not that don't match your skill set. It's like
Hmm.
if you don't want to be them. See,
Yep.
here's what the VC didn't understand. I wanted to be the VC.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to
Yep.
be them, but they didn't want me with them. They said you should let us invest in you. So go and be somebody we can invest in. I'm like, no, I want to run a fund like you run a fund.
Yeah.
Good.
So you got to be taking advice from the people that there's a great quote that says if the people who's giving you the advice doesn't have the life you want, don't listen to them.
I'm right. 100. 100. I'm
Right?
so this conversation has had to be had because I was telling my husband, I went to my financial plan. I know what my numbers are. Sometimes people don't know what the number is. And see, when you know what your number is, you know how to move, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
said, in 2025, I'm gonna have to move a little different because I don't mind selling this here and buying something else because I've done this all my life. And so I I I, I don't want to continue to do something that I know how to do. Does that make sense? I
Hmm.
mean, meaning that
Yeah,
I
you
can
want to
do
be
it, but
growing.
I gotta be growing. I need to be tapping into some other stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah, 100%. No, I agree. I understand exactly what you're saying. And I think that was one of the biggest lessons just in life, which is, one guy said this and I thought it was incredible. He said, write down what it would like the reason why you're going to succeed at whatever you do in the next 24 months, right? You got 2 years, write down the reason why you're going to succeed at this thing. And someone wrote down, I didn't like the way my parents treated me. So in the next 2 years, I'm going to do this thing, right?
Mm.
And people wrote down all of these things. And the professor, he said, the thing about you writing this down is that if you succeeded, that was the reason it inspired you. If you fail,
Mm.
you're going to use that as an excuse. And I said,
Mm.
holy smokes. Because somebody's going to say, man, I ain't make it because my mama, I ain't had it. I ain't had
Yeah.
it. And it's like, it's the same statement. The
I'm
only
like,
difference is the perspective
Hmm.
that you had on that statement that you wrote. Either you was going to use it to empower you or as your excuse as to why you didn't make it, right? And it shows the power of belief and belief in yourself. I get a lot of people that come on and tell me why Speaker Hub doesn't work and why the pitching thing and they're going to do it when they get this feature. And I just be like, whatever, you ain't gonna ever do it. I got 18 people that don't even need that feature that are already getting booked this week. They don't even know that that thing even exists. Well, when you fix that bug, then we'll sign up. Don't sign up ever because the winners are already using it and winning. And we'll fix
Oh
the
yeah.
bug
I mean,
eventually.
it's a time saver. Now, granted, that ain't gonna be all. That's not the only thing you use. You still got to establish relationship, but it sure get you ahead of further along than you would have ever thought of.
Oh, 100%. But that person will use that same bug as the excuse to why they didn't
Oh
get
yeah,
booked.
I get it. I understand. I know
Where
those kind. I
someone
stay
like
away from
Janika
those
just,
people.
and you and Janika just got in and started pitching. Who cares if it don't write the subject line? Oh, dude, don't pitch, leave. Right? Well, it don't do this. Cool, leave. If you're gonna pitch, pitch. Like life goes on. Like it ain't ever gonna be perfect. You're gonna have a new feature next week that you wish we had as your excuse. So this is me. And for those who don't like it, oh well, go somewhere else. Go back to your coach who didn't ever get you booked, right? But what I've learned is I've gotten better because of great coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, like super duper hard coaching, like not like a little bit, like yeah, make you want to cry after you talk to him coaching, right?
Well, and that's the kind of coach you respond well to. So that's what make it work for you. I'm
Oh,
one of those kind.
100%.
I need all of that. I don't need sugarcoat. Let's bring it, and that'll get me under fire. I don't need sugar ain't sweet. I don't need that. I need you to get me on fire because I have so many ideas in my brain, and I need to get out there and get bold. And so I did something last week when I talked to you guys. I was at a conference, and so I got an award. I was unexpected this award. I grew my revenue by 234%. And I was actually,
Congratulations.
yeah, I kicked butt. And
What
so,
was the award? That was incredible. What was the reward?
well,
What was the name of it?
I'm with this company called Bowl House and Mastermind, and so they had their conference, 3-day conference. My leg was hurting, and so I was getting ready to go back to the room, and they called my name, and it was like she's killing multi generations. She got the generational survey that she put together. She got a multi generation institute. Immediately, LinkedIn started blowing up, right? So what I said on LinkedIn, sometimes you have to make bold decisions for your life or your business, and you never know what's on the other side of boldness. And that's how I see all of this. And so you guys are not an accident. It is that you call those things into existence. And it's
Yeah.
gonna take I recognize that tomorrow is I'm not gonna be booked on 5 stages. And you gotta keep at it and you gotta affirmate this thing. You gotta have the tools, you gotta activate, you gotta do all of those things to make it work.
Oh, 100%. You're our people. I tell people all the time, look, I'm a magnet. I want
Yes,
to I want to attract those who are attracted to what I bring and
that's
repel
right.
those that
Yeah.
go away. And there's enough of us, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Um, it's enough of us already for us to be
Well,
okay.
it is, and I
So
think we have to pivot, and you have to some things you got to retire. And again, I'm not trying to dominate, but
Amen.
no,
some
we
things
just
you got
talking.
to retire. And like I'm in my business, there's some things I'm not saying yes to next year. So I'll grandfather some of these people in. But if you don't serve me, I got this thing called we're gonna eliminate. We're gonna automate, which is what you guys are helping me. We're gonna eliminate anything and everybody that don't serve us, align with our mission, and then we're gonna generate some new ideas, some new relationship, and some new money. How about that?
That's it. That's it.
I love that.
Janika, you changed your hairstyle today. I was used to the wrap. Now you got it laid back on them. I see you. I see you. How are you doing? You doing okay?
I come to you again saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, for me, it's just like I say, right now, this is my new toy, but it's a new toy that's beneficial. And following the instructions, for
Mhm.
me, it's about being organized because this right here is it's a system, and had to organize the system to fit my style.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have done is being able to actually see the results of the system when you do it. That's what's very beneficial. And I'm getting podcast replies. I'm getting podcast acceptance. And
Wow.
now I'm doing juggling the calendars, how we gonna fit everything in when it's and that's a good thing. But my
Mhm.
question is, how long should you keep doing the follow-ups
Right.
on the
Good
podcast?
question.
Yep.
Good
Yep.
question.
So let me share my screen with you here.
Bro, we should get Angel to create one of these with our branding on it
Oh yeah, because I use it so much, right?
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sending people to everybody else's website instead of our
Hmm.
stuff, right? So this is something that I've used for 20 years. I even named
Okay.
my company after this. This is my sales consulting company was called Five Contacts because I learned that only 10% of people
Mm-hmm.
contact people 3 times. Only 10%. So you can beat 90% of the people just by doing 3 contacts. You see
Okay.
that? Only 10% of salespeople make 3 contacts to a person. But 80% of all sales are made after the 5th contact.
Okay.
So minimum, I would reach out, I would respond twice. So I send the first one and I will follow up twice. That would be the minimum I would do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I would send an email, follow up the next day, and then probably follow up 3 days later. Something like
Okay.
that, right?
Okay.
That way you kind of have a little bit of stagger, but
Okay.
minimum 3. Now, let me tell you why that's important. If you're on, I don't know which plan you have, but if you have a plan that has 100 pitches,
Mm-hmm.
that means that you made 300 outreaches if you do the follow-ups,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, you would send out your emails today, follow up tomorrow, and send out some new ones, follow up tomorrow, and send out some new ones. And what ends up happening is that over the month, whatever your number is, you multiply that by 3, and that's the number of attempts that you did. So if someone has
Okay.
a 200 pitch plan in a month, they probably should have done 600 attempts at those 200 opportunities
Okay.
because it's 200 times 3. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yes. Okay.
Now, what
Wow.
I believe and what our data shows is that the first outreach will set a standard. You will get 50% more on the second. This is just the average, but you'll
Mm-hmm.
get 50% more just by following up. And then
Hmm.
you'll get 50% of that on the third one. So you will probably, if let's say you got 10 conversations on the first outreach,
Mm-hmm.
on the follow, you add 5. On the you'll add another 2 or 3. So
Okay.
overall, on 100 outreaches, you should end with about 18 bookings. That's why we
Okay.
always say that one of people has
Yeah.
bookings. But that means you do exactly what you should be doing with Speaker Hub, so that
Okay.
if I send this out, I got to follow up this day, and this is what I should expect. And then it has notes where you can write in and you can see what your numbers are. So you can put
Okay.
in November, I reached out to 100 podcasts. I followed up with 100. I followed up with 85 of them once, and I followed up with the other 72 times, right? So then
Okay.
you start to see what your ratios are. How many podcasts do you need to pitch in order to get booked? Once you
Okay.
got that set, now you know what your number is. Now you can start adding the associations. Does that make sense? So we've
Makes a
built out
lot of
this
sense.
entire system. We just
Mm-hmm.
can't teach it an hour at a time. So I've categorized it into some really cool playbooks. And the
Okay.
reason why we call them playbooks is because we think courses are old. Not saying that courses will go away, but I don't have time to watch 40 hours of videos,
You're right.
when somebody can just tell me what to do. So we treat it like a cookbook. If
Okay.
I want to make Indian food, I ain't going to culinary school to learn how to make these stuff. I'm going to get that recipe off of Google. I'm gonna put in one
Yeah.
cup of curry, 1 cup of milk, a little bit
Mm-hmm.
of chicken, dice up some stuff, put it in the oven and pray. Right?
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
And hope that it
Exactly.
comes out right. The issue
Exactly.
is that a lot of times we buy the course, we get through the first video, and then we hate it, and we get distracted by another shiny object. So we never get to implement it. So for those who are watching, a lot of you always ask me, why am I so direct with my instructions? Well, the reason why I'm so direct with the instructions is because I just want you to do it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just trust us, and then we can teach you the rest of it on the backside. So I
Mm-hmm.
love when you hop in and ask questions because you're like, well, you just said send. Cool. Because here's the great thing. How many of you ever heard of ready, aim, fire?
Mm-hmm.
You heard people say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we changed that around. One of my favorite books is called Ready, Fire, Aim,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So here's the theory. Most of the time, people get ready and then they be aiming for 3 years, never pull the trigger,
True. True.
right? They just doing this. They looking and they never shoot at the target, right? What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get ready. I'm gonna shoot. If I'm a little bit to the left, okay, I know I need to move to the right. Shoot again. I got unlimited bullets.
Right. Right.
So what you did last week when you got in and you just pitched, you were just shooting. And we were gonna see where it aimed. And if you went wrong, I was gonna say, oh, readjust this.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
afford to have you going through 40 hours of a course before
You
you
could have
took
rested.
before
Right.
you got the software,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because I know
Makes
the
sense.
human tendency is to be perfect. Well, I'm gonna be the one that get it right the first time. No, no, don't do that. Be the one who gets it right as fast as possible, right?
Okay.
So that's why you go in and you pitch and then you just adjust, right?
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Because it makes a lot of sense because, and when you're talking about being versatile, what has happened with my particular category, I deal with pain relief, but I had to look at who is the one that's going to want. And so it broadened when I started looking at the keywords and putting in, and I started getting responses from people that I would not even have considered to go on a
Mm-hmm.
podcast. And one that was very important to me came from a client who I had had affiliation with on LinkedIn for a long time back in the day. And he has his own podcast, and he immediately came back to me and said, I want you on. But when I saw his name, I said, this name looks familiar because I had wanted him for the longest time to be a guest on my podcast. But by him reaching out to me, opened up the door for me to really get him now to be my guest. So it's the thing that I'm learning more is about how to be very versatile in what you are doing and broaden your base because it's attracting a whole lot of people I would have never thought about.
Yep. So here's some of the misinformation that I believe is in the marketplace, and it's around this thing called a niche,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think niching down is good when you're well known.
That's
Like
right.
Tanya said,
Oh,
some stuff I
okay.
got to get rid of because it ain't good
Yep.
for me no more. But at the
Yeah.
beginning, when you're hungry, I'm trying rabbit, I'm trying fish,
You're
I'm
trying
trying sushi.
everything
I'm
where the
gonna eat
money
everything at this
reside.
buffet. Exactly. I'm gonna try
Um,
everything at this opportunity buffet until I find my favorites. Right?
Got you.
But what happens, people say, pick your favorite before you go up to the buffet. Well, wait, why I gotta pick a favorite before I go to the buffet? Why can't I just go in, get a little
No,
piece of
he's right
everything?
about that. I was told that as a speaker, niche,
yeah.
niche the rich. I'm like,
It's just rich,
listen,
rich.
Yeah, I mean,
huh?
but
Mm-hmm.
it's like saying this. This is a great example. It's like saying billionaires fly private. So since I want to be a billionaire, I should start flying private right now. It's the stupidest advice ever. Or you need 7 streams of income. No, not if they're going to be all 7 terrible. I need one really good stream of income. And when I can't invest in that anymore, I'll get a second one. And then when I max that one out, I'll get a third one. But
Right,
I
right.
don't need 7 at the beginning. I ain't got enough time to run 7 businesses.
Right.
So, and even with what we do, I buy the business and I combine them together. So it's not like I'm running multiple software
Mm-hmm.
companies. They're the same company that we got a gang of people that work on. We buy one, Raquel, all those folks, India, Kathleen, they all
Venezuela.
join the
Yeah.
team.
Well, they just
And
call different divisions of your business. There's a software company, it's just different divisions.
Yeah. Well, we smash them all in. They just go on a different team. They go on the same division, it's a different team, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
operated under different brands. So, but the
Mm-hmm.
moral of the story, which is a great point, Tanya, you make a great point that it's about over our whole job is to add truth to an industry that hasn't been held accountable for the
That's right.
lies it's told.
Yeah.
And I, and I'm glad to be on the bandwagon with you because I peaked that when a decade ago. I'm like, I went to NSA and nothing negative against NSA. They're great people. They will help you. But some lying people in there because they're saying that they're on these stages making all this money.
They're
And
not.
I'm looking around, they want to sell you a package, but guess what? Those are same people competing with those who's making 500 or 1,000. Now, I thought you were making 6, 7 figures. Why are you over here in the $2,500 lane? So I figured that out a long time ago. So I decided I was going to do me. So I just did me. I never did a coaching program, and I tell my truth and I do it my authentic way.
Those are the best. Those are the best speeches, right?
All right, I got to
So
jump off because I got a training to do. So I'll
no,
talk to you
great
guys
conversation. I'm
tomorrow.
glad you
Thanks
came
for
on. I will
coming.
see you tomorrow
Send me
for
the
sure.
link so I can register so you guys can be prepared. Because I use the
Yep.
same one.
Oh no, just come to this link. We
We check.
got rid of the other one. It's at the top of the page every day. It's the
It
Okay.
same
logs you
one.
right in.
This room right here. It lets you right in. We got rid of
Okay.
that complicated process.
Okay.
Yep.
The one
Yeah,
thing I'd
Janika.
like to, the one thing I'd like to know is how you are using LinkedIn, because you talked about that,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
LinkedIn is my base. So I'd like,
Here,
I'd
I'm gonna
like to know
send
how to
you.
be able to use that effectively. I like LinkedIn.
Yep. I'm gonna show you one of the things I see. I'm gonna send you the because I don't because it's like a 40-minute talk that I did.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you
Okay.
the link and you can check it out.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay.
And this talk here probably gives me 20 customers a month.
All right.
Meaning, they watch this and they be like, dude, I need whatever you got because nobody's ever told me these things. So
Exactly.
so I think when you click on that link, it's gonna start at like 46 seconds, but if you rewind it, it'll go back to the
Mm-hmm.
beginning.
Okay. Thanks.
But
That'll work.
yeah, no,
That's what
we're
I
gonna help you.
need.
Anything you ever need, you let me know. You know.
Okay. That was one of the things, because everything else is right now is, like I say, I'm mastering the pitching. But that's also teaching me some other type of skills that will make me successful in business. That's what I'm liking about it.
No, that's a big deal. That's a
Mm-hmm.
big deal. So, keep showing up. Every day you show up, we're gonna be here for you, right? And yeah, I can't wait till you start reaching out to some of the associations and getting some of the live gigs
I
because
did make a contact through you. His name is it Terrell?
oh yeah,
Terrell
yeah,
Simmons out of San
Yes, I'm
Diego.
going to be on his podcast. We had a long conversation this
He's
weekend,
awesome.
so I'm looking
That's
forward
great.
to that. That's going to be a big jump start.
no, it's super duper exciting. Anything else you want to cover today?
That's it. So I'll listen to everybody else.
Ain't nobody else here but you.
That's
My
us.
thing is the work. I mean, doing the work, and
Mhm.
um, I think what you talk about for me is being able to have a program that's not theory, it's action.
Well, I'm gonna ask you for a favor. 1 second here, right?
What's that?
So right now on your camera, it's only showing like from your nose up, right? Okay, perfect. Right now,
Wonderful.
Okay.
I want because we're working on this course called Speaker Launch,
hmm
and I would love to have you just tell about your experience over the last 2 weeks. Can you do that?
Oh, sure I can.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to let you talk however you would like. I just want you to talk about your use of Speaker Hub and what you were doing. So here's the base. What were you doing before you found Speaker Hub? Right? What were your initial thoughts? And then what were your results after you did it?
Well, the first thing that I can say,
Well, wait. So introduce yourself first, right?
okay, I'm Njadika Olatunde. I have just come on board to Speaker Hub, and The person who referred me to Speaker Hub, I tell them they gave me a silver platter, and I love them dearly for it. And we talk about it all the time, but one of the things for me, I'm coming back into the speaking arena. And because I'm coming back into the speaking arena, I needed to be updated on what's working now compared to what I used to do yesterday. And Speaker Hub has answered that question. Um, Anybody who is really interested in pursuing their goals as a speaker, I would highly suggest that you consider Speaker Hub first before you do anything else. And the reason being is because it's a program that gives action steps rather than theory. And because it gives action steps, you're able to see what it is you're doing and seeing that what has been told to you it will do, it's actually doing when you follow the process. The main thing, it's a system, it's a workable system for speakers to be able to be successful in achieving their goals, no matter what it is. And the one thing that I learned coming into Speaker Hub was for today's speaker, looking at podcasts and focusing on getting as many podcast guest appearances as you can to jumpstart your desire to be a speaker. And it's kudos to that. And I thank you.
No, thanks. I appreciate it, Janika. This is really good. I want to ask one question. In your first 2 weeks, how many responses have you gotten from your pitches?
Oh, wow. They're coming in so readily. In terms of it right now, I'm scheduled. I've done, I think as of last night, I had did 120 pitches. I think it was 120 pitches. And out of that 120 pitches, I have 10 confirmed podcast guest appearances coming up for this month into December. So coming in with nothing and having that kind of result, so that's 100% success for me.
No, that's a big deal. I want to ask one last question because I think that someone will hear that 100 number and think you spent 8 hours a day, writing things and researching and all of that. How much time? Like, what was the process for you?
Um, I say like I may have put in maybe about an hour's worth of my time, and by doing it an hour's worth of time, the information is already ready. All I have to do is click and send. And the click and send, it's automated and it producing. And what I'm finding, which is really good, because even when you click, I'm getting responses immediately from just clicking. I mean, because it goes to somebody's email and they see it and they immediately respond back. So I'm saying roughly about an hour's worth of time. It wasn't hours in terms of, and it didn't take a whole day to get it done. I mean, like feeling my way through the process, it will get a lot faster. But like I'm saying, starting out, I committed to an hour, and that's what an hour produced.
High five to you for taking the action. I still, no, this was good. That's a good testimonial because we get a lot of folks to say, man, it's going to take 10 hours. And I spent 3 hours researching. I'm like, why? Just send the daggone emails. Like, I would rather you send 50 average emails than try to reach out to 10 perfect ones, right? Because those 10 perfect ones, they're not going to all respond, just like all 50 aren't going to respond. But the law of large numbers says you just never know who's going to book you. And I really want to give you a high five for being an action taker. I call him Uncle Mike, Michael Roberts. If you look him up, he's me and his son are really good friends, and he calls them actioneers,
Okay.
And what he basically says is that if a lion retires tomorrow, he's going to be his brother's lunch. And
True. True.
and I believe that. So he rewards the action taker. He has a great book called Action Has No Season, which is
Okay.
one of my favorite books. I think it's volume 2 or volume 3 right now. If you can get that, Michael Victor Roberts Sr. is one of the best public speakers in America today, and he was one of the first Black billionaires. So really, really smart guy. You should check it out. If I can get you a copy, I'm gonna send it to you. When I go back to St. Louis, I'm gonna get you a copy and send it to you.
Well, like I say, the person who referred me, like, I call her and tell her, I say, this is the silver bullet. This is it.
Wait, who referred you? I don't remember. Who was it?
Melanie, what's Melanie's last name? Birchman. She's a real estate. She's in real estate.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm trying to think, but I'm glad she did. Melanie, if you see this, thank you. And Janika has been a gem on our calls, and she is probably the most coachable person we've worked with this year. So it's been good.
Well, that's where we are. And the other thing too is, Angela, thank you for your immediate response and getting back when I ask questions. I mean, that's a
You're
real
welcome, of
big
course.
plus. And that makes a big
You're
difference.
welcome.
So you have, like, you have a bona fide team, and that's what makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I mean, this would be terrible if Ange wasn't over there. Ange is like the glue. I can be a bit abrasive sometimes, so she gets to go in and give everybody a hug after I burn down the building.
Definitely, definitely.
But no, this has
We
been
all
great.
we all
Thanks
have
again.
we all have our place.
Anything else? Any other
Yeah.
questions or anything
I
you need
don't
help with?
have any other questions, but I am stealing your idea because I have another program that I'm involved in, and I like what you're doing in terms of being available. No questions asked. It's something, and I have decided with this program that I'm working with that I'm going to do the same thing. Although I'm not as good as you, I won't be able to do 5 days, but I have committed to one day that it's on the calendar. This is where I'll be for anybody who has questions, comments, of what you want to do. I like that. I think that's a good approach in terms of, so I'm stealing that idea.
Where do you think we started? We started with one day.
Okay.
We started with one day, and people were like, man, you do this every week? And my thoughts were, if they like every week, imagine how much they're going to like every day.
Yes. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm starting with one day, and I'm going to make it available for my team in terms of getting some things done. So I said that this is, see, I learned a new technique that I can use.
100%. And people love it. I mean, they love to be able to come in because even though we have all the iPhones and the technology to contact folks, the world is so impersonal. And you end up talking to people through chat bots and all this other fake stuff. And I'm like, no, we can just win by having the best customer service.
Yes. Well, that's all for me. I don't have anything else because you've answered my question, and me just the thing of being able to come in and listen. I learn a lot, and I have notes. I take notes, so like that helps me move forward. So after this, I'll be back in my doing my pitching. That's what's for the remainder of the day. Continue pitching.
Well, keep pitching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.